What happens when privilege meets justice? When a young woman used to getting anything she wants dares to insult Judge Frank Caprio in his courtroom, she has no idea that her world is about to turn upside down. This is a story of arrogance, absolute justice, and the lesson money can't buy. Today, we reveal the courtroom drama that no one expected. Madison Carter, the daughter of a wealthy senator, walks in as if the law doesn't apply to her. Her designer heels echo through the grand chamber, a Prada bag swinging from her arm, AirPods in, scrolling on her latest iPhone, completely detached from the seriousness around her. Judge Frank Caprio, a man whose reputation for fairness is legendary, is about to face a challenge unlike any before. What Madison doesn't realize is that entitlement meets reality here, and in the next few minutes, she will learn a lesson that goes far beyond money, status, or influence. This is a story of instant karma, heartbreak, and a courtroom that witnesses absolute justice. Madison Carter walks into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom like she owns the place. Every step she takes is loud, deliberate, almost demanding attention. Her hair shines under the courtroom lights. Her designer bag swings with each stride, and the Gucci sunglasses perched atop her head suggest she's above everyone else here. She barely glances at the staff, ignoring the whispers from other people waiting for their cases. At 19, Madison has been pampered, protected, and handed every privilege imaginable. She doesn't understand patience, humility, or accountability. Today, her arrogance is about to meet its match. The case is simple, or at least it should be. Madison is facing charges for reckless driving and property damage after a high-speed incident outside a luxury boutique. But she doesn't see herself as guilty. "Do you even know who I am?" She murmurs under her breath, a rhetorical challenge more than a question, as she sits, legs crossed, tossing her hair. Judge Caprio enters, calm, composed, and ready to bring order. The air shifts immediately. Madison glances up briefly, a smirk forming, as if she's already convinced she can talk her way out of trouble. But the judge doesn't respond to smirks. He looks at the files, at the witnesses, at the evidence, and then, finally, at Madison herself. The courtroom waits in a tense silence. Madison fidgets with her phone, clearly expecting someone to intervene, perhaps a parent or a lawyer, to save her from the consequences she refuses to acknowledge. Her entitled behavior makes the entire room uneasy. No one dares say a word, but everyone can feel the tension radiating off her. A witness steps forward. A store manager whose prized displays were destroyed in Madison's reckless actions. The story unfolds, luxury handbags thrown to the floor, fragile ceramics shattered, a trail of chaos left behind. Madison rolls her eyes, muttering dismissively under her breath, as if this testimony is some inconvenience rather than a reflection of her actions. "Do you ever consider anyone but yourself?" the judge finally asks, voice steady, cutting through her bubble of entitlement. Madison laughs softly, a high-pitched sound that immediately draws a few gasps. "Honestly, I think you're overreacting. It's not that serious," she says, her words dripping with condescension. The courtroom shifts uncomfortably. Even the bailiffs exchange glances. No one has ever seen anyone speak to Judge Caprio this way. The first disrespect has been thrown, and the weight of it hangs in the air. How could someone so young, so privileged, be so utterly blind to the rules that govern everyone else? Madison leans back in her chair, tapping her Louis Vuitton-clad heels against the floor. The judge takes a moment, letting the silence settle like a slow storm. He doesn't need to yell, to intimidate, or to react immediately. The room itself seems to anticipate what will happen next. Will arrogance win, or will justice prevail? Drop a comment below if you think Madison has gone too far already, because the tension is only going to rise from here. Every eye in the courtroom is glued to her, even as she remains oblivious. The first act of disrespect is just the beginning. And then, just as Madison smirks again, flipping her hair back, a piece of evidence arrives that will change the energy in the room entirely. The smirk fades slightly, replaced by a flicker of unease. What happens next will leave the entire courtroom speechless. But what happened next left the entire courtroom speechless. The courtroom is tense. The clerk places a thick folder on the judge's bench, and Judge Caprio opens it deliberately. Inside are photos, reports, and video recordings of the accident, a moment frozen in time that even Madison's confidence cannot erase. The first images flash across the screen: shattered storefront glass, luxury handbags ripped from their shelves, and Madison's BMW parked at an impossible angle, scrape marks tracing the path of destruction. Madison's smirk falters for the first time. She mutters something under her breath, trying to dismiss it, but even her attorney looks uneasy. The evidence is damning. Every item damaged, every reckless move recorded. This is not just a minor incident, it's a cascade of carelessness that could have harmed people, and the proof is undeniable. The judge begins to speak, calm but firm. Madison, do you recognize the damage caused by your actions? His voice echoes, each word deliberate. Madison shakes her head, still trying to play innocent, but the photographs and videos are relentless. The images don't lie. The broken glass, the scattered merchandise, the terrified customers, all captured clearly enough that even someone used to privilege cannot ignore it. A witness is called, a delivery driver who narrowly avoided Madison's speeding BMW moments before it smashed into the boutique window. He describes the incident with quiet intensity, recounting the fear and confusion that rippled through the street. Madison rolls her eyes, whispering something to her attorney, a gesture of arrogance that only tightens the courtroom's tension. How could someone so aware of danger be so blind to accountability? Then comes the video evidence. The courtroom falls silent as the clip plays. Madison's reckless driving, her disregard for pedestrians, and her arrogant attempts to maneuver through traffic are all captured in high definition. The judge leans forward, studying her reaction. Her jaw tightens, but her eyes betray a flicker of concern. Finally, a rhetorical question breaks the silence. Can anyone truly believe that Alf and influence excuse such behavior? The tension escalates as more testimony pours in, employees describing damage to expensive merchandise, security cameras from neighboring stores confirming the sequence of events, and even a child's mother recounting how her little boy had been frightened by the speeding vehicle. Each detail chips away at Madison's confidence. Do you see now, Judge Caprio asks, how your actions affected not just property, but people? Madison hesitates, unsure how to respond. She's never been confronted like this. Privilege has always been her shield, but here, in this courtroom, it feels fragile. Her lawyer attempts to intervene, but the judge waves him off. This is not a moment for legal loopholes. This is about accountability, about understanding that money and status cannot erase responsibility. Every person present feels the gravity of the situation. Madison's facade is cracking, and the courtroom watches as a young woman accustomed to getting her way is forced to confront the consequences of her arrogance. The evidence piles up, each piece more undeniable than the last. Even Madison's designer handbag, now sitting beside her, seems to symbolize her detachment from reality. The judge's voice cuts through the air again, deliberate and unwavering. This isn't about wealth, it isn't about influence, it is about right and wrong, plain and simple. Drop a comment below if you think Madison finally understands the gravity of her actions, because what comes next will either make her regret her arrogance or teach her a lesson money could never buy. The courtroom waits, breathless, and in that moment, even Madison begins to realize that justice has a way of reaching everyone, no matter how high their pedestal. But the evidence reveals a truth even Madison couldn't imagine. The courtroom is heavy with tension. A woman steps forward, her hands trembling, eyes glistening. She is the boutique manager whose shop was devastated by Madison's reckless driving. Her voice shakes as she begins to speak, describing the hours of work lost, the countless damaged items, and the emotional toll on her staff. Each word lands like a hammer on Madison's armor of privilege. I have worked my entire life to build this business, the woman says, her voice firm despite the tears, and in a single moment, all of it was nearly destroyed. You may think. Money can fix everything, but it can't undo the fear, the stress, or the sense of violation we felt that day. Madison's expression falters, a flash of guilt crossing her features, but it is fleeting. She shakes her head, her voice dripping with defiance. I don't think it's that big of a deal, she says, leaning back in her chair, AirPods dangling from her ears. I mean, accidents happen, right, The courtroom collectively gasps. Even her attorney swallows nervously, realizing that Madison's arrogance is now at an all-time high. How could someone hear firsthand the damage caused and still dismiss it? Judge Caprio leans forward, his gaze steady, unwavering. Accidents happen, yes, he says slowly, but ignoring the consequences of your actions is a choice, and every choice has a price. Rhetorical question hangs in the air. When will people understand that words and actions carry weight, regardless of privilege? Madison doesn't answer. She can't. Her mind races, realizing that the evidence, the testimony, and now the emotional pleas from the victims are closing in on her. The victim continues, describing the stress of repairing the broken merchandise, the strain on her MPL, yes, and the embarrassment of dealing with customers after the incident. Each detail lands with precision, highlighting the stark contrast between Madison's world of wealth and the reality of the people around her. Hit that subscribe button if you're starting to feel the tension rise, because the moment of reckoning is approaching. Madison shifts in her seat, trying to maintain composure, but the courtroom can see through her facade. Her attempts at dismissiveness now feel hollow. She begins to realize that Judge Caprio doesn't respond to wealth, influence, or fear. He responds to truth, fairness, and accountability, qualities that cannot be bought or faked. Her friends in the audience exchange worried glances. Privilege, it seems, has limits, and this is the first time Madison has felt those boundaries so acutely. She watches as the victims speak, as the evidence piles up, and as the judge prepares to deliver words that could change everything. Judge Caprio clears his throat, and the courtroom falls silent. Madison's smirk is gone now, replaced with a flicker of unease. She begins to sense that the lesson she's about to learn will be unforgettable. Every word he is about to say is meant to teach more than just punishment. It is meant to imprint a lesson that no designer, handbag, luxury car, or iPhone can erase. The energy in the room is electric. People lean forward, waiting for the judge's words, feeling the gravity of the moment. Madison is on the edge, her confidence slowly unraveling. The courtroom holds its breath as Judge Caprio begins his powerful speech, and it's clear that what comes next will leave no one untouched. And then Madison said something that shocked everyone, even Judge Caprio. Judge Frank Caprio sits forward, hands resting on the bench, eyes locking onto Madison Carter. The room goes silent, every whisper stops, even the faint sound of heels against marble seems to vanish. Madison shifts uneasily, finally sensing that the moment of reckoning has arrived. Madison, the judge begins, his voice calm but commanding. You stand here today surrounded by the consequences of choices you did not fully understand. Choices that, in a single moment, impacted not just property, but people. Hard-working people who trusted that the law protects them from harm. The words hit hard. Madison's head tilts slightly, as if trying to process the wig. HT behind each sentence. The judge continues, deliberate, steady, unflinching. Privilege can create comfort, but it cannot create morality. Wealth may buy many things, but it cannot buy accountability, respect, or empathy. And those are the very things that define a person. A rhetorical question pierces the silence. When will we all understand that our actions matter, not our bank accounts? Madison's gaze drops. For the first time, she cannot meet his eyes. Every word he speaks feels like a mirror, reflecting the arrogance and carelessness she has carried like armor for her entire life. Judge Caprio pauses, letting the courtroom absorb his message. He gestures toward the victims, acknowledging their courage. These individuals, who suffered because of your choices, do not ask for your money. They ask for recognition, respect, and accountability. And it is your responsibility, your duty, to understand the impact of your actions. The room is utterly still. Even Madison's attorney leans forward, captivated by the clarity and power of the speech. The judge's words are not just about punishment. They are about education, reflection, and most importantly, justice. Judge Caprio's T1 grows firmer, resonating through the chamber. Let this be a lesson that justice is not selective. It does not bow to titles, wealth, or connections. It seeks only the truth and the right outcome. Arrogance, entitlement, and carelessness cannot stand when the law serves its purpose. Madison's lips part slightly, a silent acknowledgement of the truth she has avoided for so long. The tension in the room is palpable. Everyone senses that the moment of transformation, of karma, is near. Drop a comment below if you think Madison will finally understand the weight of her choices, because the next moments will decide everything. The judge leans back slightly, eyes still on Madison. It is not enough to feel remorse in secret or behind closed doors. True growth comes from understanding, facing consequences, and making amends. Today, you will be held accountable, but not merely to punish. You will be held accountable to learn, to change, and to respect those your actions affect. The courtroom hangs on every word. Madison's carefully cultivated persona is cracking. For the first time, she feels the reality of a world where money and influence do not shield her. She finally realizes that the lesson she has avoided is unavoidable, and that her entitlement cannot withstand the truth. Judge Caprio delivers the final lines of his speech, voice unwavering. Justice is a teacher, Madison, and today it teaches not through fear, not through wealth, but through clarity, fairness, and consequence. Learn it well. And as the courtroom held its breath, Judge Caprio delivered a verdict that nobody saw coming. The courtroom is silent. Madison sits frozen, the weight of Judge Caprio's words pressing down like a storm she can no longer escape. Her designer bag now feels heavy in her lap, a symbol of a world she can no longer hide behind. Every pair of eyes in the room is on her, expecting a reaction, craving accountability. She swallows hard, realizing that excuses, money, and influence cannot erase what has been done. Her arrogance begins to crumble. For the first time, Madison speaks, not with defiance, but with a fragile honesty. I didn't realize how much harm I caused, she murmurs, her voice trembling. I'm sorry. The victim nods, her expression softening just slightly. She sees the shift, the genuine remorse beginning to replace the entitlement. Judge Caprio watches carefully, allowing this moment of reflection to take root. Apology is the first step, he says, but it is not enough alone. True justice comes from action, understanding, and the willingness to make amends. Madison rises, slowly walking toward the victim. She extends a hand, awkward but sincere, to begin repairing the damage she caused. Every step feels monumental. The courtroom, previously tense, now watches a transformation unfold. A young woman, once blind to consequence, beginning to embrace responsibility. Hit that subscribe button if you believe in karma, because this moment is what justice looks like when it works. Judge Caprio delivers the final verdict. Madison is ordered to compensate for damages, attend a driver accountability program, and volunteer at local charities affected by reckless behavior. It's a punishment wrapped in learning, ensuring that the lesson will last far beyond the courtroom walls. Madison nods in acceptance, tears glistening in her eyes. She finally understands that privilege cannot replace integrity. Outside the courtroom, the story spreads. Social media buzzes, but not because of her wealth or defiance, because of transformation and justice served. People praise the judge's fairness, and the boutique recovers, the employees finally feeling seen and valued. Madison's reputation is changed, not destroyed, but rebuilt on the foundation of accountability and growth. Judge Caprio's words echo one last time. Justice is not revenge. Justice is clarity, fairness, and the courage to face truth. Today we witnessed all of these. Madison, humbled, realizes she will carry this lesson for life. It is a moment of instant karma, yes, but also a chance for redemption. The courtroom exhales together, relief and awe mingling in the air. The story of entitlement confronted by justice leaves everyone inspired. Tears are shed, lessons are learned, and a viral tale of transformation spreads far beyond the courthouse. This is what happens when arrogance meets accountability. Madison Carter entered the courtroom thinking she was untouchable, only to learn that wealth and influence cannot override justice. Judge Frank Caprio reminded everyone that fairness, morality, and consequence are universal, and that true growth comes from owning our mistakes. Like this video, if you believe in accountability, subscribe for more courtroom stories that deliver instant karma, hit the bell to never miss a powerful lesson, and share this story to remind others that justice has no favorites. Every word, every moment, and every decision matters. The lesson here is timeless. No matter who you are, the law and morality will always have the final word. Madison walked out changed, but the ripple of this lesson will touch everyone who witnessed it. Justice, after all, never sleeps.